How long does shredded coconut last? Healthier steps. A package of shredded coconut lasts far longer than fresh coconut, although it does not last indefinitely. Even if it keeps longer in the fridge, it will eventually go bad. So how long does shredded coconut last? If you're not sure if your shredded coconut has gone wrong, a basic visual and smell test will tell you everything you need to know. Difference between coconut milk and coconut cream? Coconuts have a shelf life determined by when they were picked, because there is not usually a sell-by date, how long they took to arrive at your location, and how they are stored. Coconuts are high in fiber and nutrients and can be purchased whole or shredded, dried. Both the meat and the milk have significant vitamin C, B1, B2, and B3 quantities. The coconut palm is the tree of life since it can be used for food, drink, fiber, utensils, instruments, medical reasons, fuel, and other things. How long can you keep shredded coconut in the fridge? Shredded coconut can be stored in the refrigerator for at least 6 to 8 months. I like to keep my dehydrated food items in the fridge over any other location. This is because you don't have to worry about defrosting them when storing them in the refrigerator. Storing shredded coconut on the counter allows you always to remember to have it on hand or use it before it goes bad. Keeping shredded coconut on the counter makes it easily accessible for users. It will keep this way for a few weeks after it is opened, so be sure to finish it quickly. How long does shredded coconut last? Once opened, shredded coconut will keep on the counter for 2 to 3 weeks before turning rancid if you store it properly at room temperature. After opening, shredded coconut will keep in the fridge for 3 to 4 months before turning bad. Once opened, shredded coconut will probably keep in the freezer for 6 to 8 months before turning rancid if you store them properly, in the right circumstances, in the freezer. Is expired shredded coconut bad for you? I'll say yes. This is due to the manufacturer's estimations of how many years or months it will last. So consuming outdated shredded coconut serves no use in the body other than to make one sick. How to tell if shredded coconut is bad? Maybe you found some desiccated nuts that have been sitting in the freezer for a long time and are wondering if they are still safe to consume. Having seen the shelf life of shredded coconut above, have your grated nuts passed their expiration date? You want to know if it's safe to toss out or if it can still be used. Mold and discoloration. Examine the shredded coconut. If mold appears or if you discover any discoloration on it, such as a yellowish tint, these dehydrated nuts are terrible. Just throw them away. If the shredded coconut seems squishy and brittle, feel the texture of the shredded coconut. Shredded coconut that is mushy and brittle is terrible. It's only possible to discard them and get a new one at this point. Off smell. Smell your desiccated nuts. Smelling before eating has become a valuable method of distinguishing between good and bad food. When desiccated nuts smell off and have a disagreeable odor, such nuts puree is terrible. Toss them and prepare some organic ones for yourself. The taste. When the older signals are no longer influential in determining whether the shreds are rotten or still good, a tasting bud will function exceptionally well to decide whether or not it is good or not. Such shredded coconut is poor when it tastes desiccated, has a bitter taste, and the taste becomes strange. Throw them out, and don't eat them. Shredded coconut shelf life and storage. Stored at average temperature, about 70 degrees Fahrenheit, a package of shredded coconut can last between 4 and 6 months. If you want to keep it longer, especially if it's been opened, keep it in the refrigerator in an airtight container. If you do so, it has a shelf life of 6 to 8 months. Freezing shredded coconut does not affect its shelf life. Shredded coconut dries out as it ages, and when it's past its prime, it'll be brittle and yellow. When shredded coconut has been sitting in the fridge or freezer for an extended period, it's time to toss it. This is because they would have gone rotten, and eating bad food is harmful to your health. How to store shredded coconut. Here are some recommendations on how to store shredded coconut to help it last longer in the fridge, freezer, and on the counter. When buying whole coconut, or handmade shredded coconut, go for fresh ones and won't spoil quickly. Always check the expiration date on packed nuts desiccate to avoid bad before using. Please keep them in a dry, cold, and dark location with a consistent temperature. Don't leave it out in the sun or in a damp environment, as this can cause it to decay and spoil quickly. A very tight-fitting lid is essential for keeping them airtight. Refrigerate or freeze to extend shelf life. When storing shredded coconut on the counter, keep it among baking ingredients. This will also lengthen their shelf life. So, how long does shredded coconut last? Shredded coconuts should be stored in a cold place, such as the pantry, fridge, or freezer because low temperatures inhibit infection by microorganisms. Freezing keeps changing the consistency of the coconut, making the meat softer and easier to process. Once opened, dried, shredded, coconut should be stored in an airtight container in the fridge. A jar with a resealable cover is ideal for keeping coconut fresh and handy. Some advantages of efficient food storage include eating healthier, saving money on food, and helping the environment by reducing waste.